this is February all of a sudden. So finally, we've gotten out of January, so we can say goodbye to January. If not, we might want to say good riddance to January, because that was quite the month. And February is not off to a really good start either, as I look outside and taking a look. And it will be a long time before I say anything about us not having cold winters anymore. Because this winter rivals the ones we had in the 60s and the 70s. This has been a cold, long winter. This has been the longest snow cover we've had in a long, long time. And so,
the fact that the river is frozen says a lot.
well, it's not quite to the point where you could drive cars on it, like Steve Cutler, driving his car in 1979 when the river froze over so horribly that winter.
I could keep you in mind.
Are you thinking about driving on it? Just counting the days?
No, I remember driving. I remember driving and seeing car tracks on the river. I'm thinking, who would do that? And Steve confessed that he did that. So, getting on down here where Woods Boathouse is, you can just drive right on it at that point in time. I just could not imagine.
Nope.
But it was very, very cold at that point in time. So I remember I was in college, and at that point in time, and I stayed in town for like 2 weeks at a friend's house and walked from Benoni Avenue over to the school, because it was just you couldn't get anywhere. Anyway, last Monday was Groundhog Day, the day that we have all of those prognosticators across the country dragging those poor reluctant rodents out of their stumps or their burrows or whatever, holding them up for the world to see, and to make their predictions about what the weather was going to be. Well, I'm sure you've paid attention, but last week both of the local groundhogs, the one in Pennsylvania, the one down in French Creek, both said, guess what? We got more winter coming. But you know, I could have told you that. If you look at the calendar says the first day of spring is 6 weeks away. So it's no matter what you do, you got 6 weeks. But we are not going to have.
I'm not calling winter over until like April.
That's right. I don't put anything in the garden until middle of May, because you've been burnt before. But what I do know is this. Betsy's asking me, have I been dreaming? Oh, I've been dreaming. And so again, I just know that here in about 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be downstairs getting my seed boxes ready and I'm dreaming of planting for the summer. I've not seen the surface of my garden now in weeks because it's been snow covered. The mulch and the compost down there holds the cold, and it does not melt. But since we can't do anything about the future, we're just going to take a gander the past here. We began 2026 6 weeks ago. It seems crazy to even think we've been 6 weeks into this new year already. But the first Sunday in January, we talked briefly about New Year's resolutions. How are those going, by the way? I can't compete. This message today is loosely connected to that one, but it will serve as a prelude, as an introduction to next week's. I've been sitting at home now for almost 3 weeks, and I've got next week's message practically done, and the week after that's mostly done. So again, it's one of those things is that they were supposed to be here already. This morning, though, we're going to begin with a scripture out of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24. This is just something Father's been dealing with me about. He says, do you not know that in a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? I think this is appropriate, seeing as the Olympics have just begun. But he goes on to say, okay, this just simply makes sense. But Paul says, run in such a way as to get the prize. Don't simply be in the race. Run to win. This is the challenge that Father has given me. And it's a challenge that I've been waiting to share with you. And so I keep coming back to these same questions again. We're going. This message is an allegory. Ian, this is right up your alley. For those of you who don't remember what an allegory is a story or a presentation, but it uses people, places, things, events to represent larger concepts. Okay, so we're going to talk about one thing, but be referring to something else. It's another concept, another complex truth, or moral lesson. So this is an allegory, and so we're going to be looking at that. But it says it's talking about larger concepts, and speaking about things being larger, I've noticed that my clothes aren't fitting as well as they used to. And I'm convinced that there must be something wrong with the clothes dryer. Because my shirts aren't as loose as they used to be, and my pants seem to have gotten smaller as well. And the fact that only my socks and shoes are the only thing that have stayed the same size, it has to be a sign that something has gone wrong. It has to be the dryer, because it can't have been all those holiday goodies and those treats that I've eaten, because there weren't that many, and I got rid of them as quickly as possible. Well, what else are you going to do to them? Feed them to the birds? And then there's that gingerbread house that had to be dealt with. What are you going to do? It was beautiful, and it really did last a long time. It doesn't last any longer. But now when I step on the scale, it screams, help! I've evidently helped myself too much. And so there's been too many goodies, too much fun, too much already. But now that my schedule has gotten somewhat back to normal, Marcy's back to work sometimes. After the holidays and the snow days, it's just kind of difficult, but I'm back to my morning routine of going down to the basement and lifting my weights and doing all those exercises again, but nothing seemed to be budging. And so Father and I were having this conversation a few weeks ago, and again, I talk to him about everything. And I just asked him, I says, what about this extra weight? This weight that I've put on again. I haven't weighed this much since the last time I weighed this much. And my question was, why am I having such a difficult time getting back to my normal weight? My question was simply, what is stopping me? And Father, in the way that only He can do, stops me. And he turns the conversation away from the topic at hand, which should be a sign that we're going to be dealing with something other than what I had brought up, than what I thought we was going to be talking about. And the question then becomes, what's stopping me from doing all those other things that I know I should be doing? Those other things that I want to do. Those other things that I need to do. What's stopping me? And of course, my first reaction, and probably yours too, is to look for somewhere to start pointing that finger. I pointed at the clothes dryer. Because that's where it has to be. We all want to find something or someone to blame. Who can I blame this on? What can I blame this on? Because the blame must land on someone or something other than ourselves. So whose fault is this? We typically blame those people who are closest to us, which is a sign that the relationship is not what it should be, that it has some issues of its own. We point to our friends, we point to our family, we offer lame excuses like, well, if the goodies weren't there, I wouldn't have eaten them. I wouldn't have been tempted.
To be fair, we didn't eat many.
I know, and I got rid of them as quickly as possible. If it hadn't been such a good deal, I wouldn't have bought it. If you hadn't brought it up, I wouldn't have said anything. You see, we are very expert at deflecting blame, aren't we? Well, once I got past the initial blame game here with Father, I settled down and began to seriously consider this question. What is stopping me? Which led to that follow-up question. Okay, what is stopping me? So then I have to ask myself, stopping me from what? What is it? What is it that I'm not doing? What am I being prevented from doing? What is it that I need or want to do that I'm not? And then I discovered, as I pondered it, that there are things. There are things that aren't being done. So I began to ponder, what is stopping me from doing all those things that I have in my heart to do, the things that I have my heart set on? You see, the last time we were together, we talked about us needing to have a change of heart, and how our heart is always changeable. But what's stopping me? What is it in my heart that's stopping me from doing those things? Things like worshiping God the way I want, instead of limiting myself to what is traditional or acceptable. You see, I love to be in Father's presence. I yearn for the Holy Spirit's presence. In the past, I have thoroughly enjoyed worshiping exuberantly and loudly, vigorously. And I spend my days largely alone. I'm in the house by myself. So what's stopping me? Why am I so reserved? Why when I turn my music on, I'm just sitting there just listening, or I'm just singing very softly? There's no one in the house except the cats. No one else is watching. What's stopping me from worshiping God the way I want to? What keeps me from spending time alone with God? I have lots of time. Why do I fill my time with lesser things like doom scrolling the news or social media? Why am I checking my email? There's nothing coming on in there. Or watching murder mysteries every evening. Well, we're watching Law and Order right now, UK. And I thought, well, they always get their man. Well, last night they didn't. I told Marcia, I said, I will not watch this anymore. I will. What's preventing me from following through on those things that I know, on those things that I've been told? It's just, what stops me from doing those hard things? Why am I so reticent and so reluctant to obey? Why is it so difficult to simply do what I've been told? Why do I drag my feet instead of quickly and joyfully following the instructions I've been given? Now, I'm sure none of you can relate to this. This is Father and I are having these conversations alone. Why don't I run to win the race? Well, again, I wasn't running. I was. That brings us back to that same question. That same question that Father asked me down in that weight room. He said, What is stopping me? What prevents me? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be someone to blame. So, our allegory here is talking about signs. And so I find myself wondering, it might be because I'm not paying attention to the signs that have been placed along the way. What signs am I following? What signs am I not following? There are many different kinds of signs that we are accustomed to. Signs like this one, we've talked about this before. Speed limit is 35, but you notice the actual speed down below. I think that's more of a dyslexic kind of moment. Huh? It's 35, but there 50. It says 53 on there, and I try not to be that bad at obeying or disobeying, as the case may be. But we tend to ignore signs like these and figure that there's grace to be had. Some years ago, when Chad was still a state policeman, I was having a conversation with him, and he used this phrase. He says, 9 you're fine, 10 you're mine. I thought, well, I got some grace here. I mean, so long as I'm not 10 miles over, I should be good. I try to not go that far. But I'm mindful of that as I'm driving, that there's grace to be had there. But you know, those speed limit signs that we encounter in our life may not be the actual ones next to the road, but we view them kind of like it's a restriction on our choices, that it's a limitation of my personal freedoms along the way. And most of us are not fond of those arbitrary restrictions, like speed limits being placed upon us. Truth be told, speed limits are, we regard them and accept them with about as much consideration that we have for criticism in our lives, especially if it's uninvited or unsolicited criticism, even if it's being couched as constructive criticism, as if there is such a thing. We tend to ignore it. We speed right past it, disregarding its intended effect on us, until life or the local police catch up with us. Another sign we often see is road work ahead. I hate these signs. When I see one of these signs, I'm thinking, good grief, I hope it's not too much of an inconvenience. I hope that it's not going to disrupt what I have to do, what I'm doing right now, or hold me up from me getting to where I'm going. But signs like these can be more than just inconveniences. They oftentimes mean a delay, which is another thing I don't have time for.
But the road is still working?
Or even worse, a detour that sends you way out of your way before you can get back on track again. I've been on trips before, and then all of a sudden you got this detour, and you're going through places I have never seen before you finally get you back on the interstate again. But these inconveniences, these delays, these detours, add unnecessary time and effort to what we're doing. And we ain't got time for that. Or so we say, or so we think. Another annoying sign out there, and again, so many people ignore this one, and that is yield. Who's got time for that? To yield means that that we need to be aware that there might be someone else out there. There might be other people around us who have the right to do something before we do. It means that we're expected to show consideration or preference, or even worse, respect. And sometimes that 3 or 4 seconds of yielding can test the limits of our Christian witness, of our Christian behavior. The next sign can cause us some problems. What does this sign mean? Slippery when wet. In adverse weather conditions, it's easy. It's easier for cars to hydroplane on these wet roads because of standing water. Okay, your tires lose grip on the highway. And in our lives, during these adverse conditions, it's easier for uncertainty and for confusion to cause our lives to derail, to go off track, to cause us to end up in the ditch. But all too often, we ignore these signs. I see them. Do I slow down? Believing that we've got enough tread to manage on our own. But you know, there really isn't anything wrong with slowing down a little bit, especially when you see signs like this one. And we see this one here a lot in the mountains, don't we? What does it mean?
Keep going at the same pace.
Don't slow down, keep going. So that's what we say it means. Again, it means that we are quite accustomed to that. It means that the road is going to be a little tricky up ahead. We've got some curves. It's not going to be a straight shot.
Roller coaster time.
That's right. Just get thrown all over the place.
Buckle up and hold on.
And we feel overconfident.
If you get car sick, just pack a bucket.
Just put a bucket in the car. That's what those ice cream buckets are for. If you need one, I'll do one for you. Nothing's stopping me.
He's a helper.
Yield.
That's right. Yield. Yes, that's right. The sign warns of trouble. It warns that there might be difficulty ahead, that the visibility is going to be limited, that there's unseen forces like centrifugal force, where an object wants to go straight.
Are you talking centripetal or centrifugal?
It's one with the F in it.
That's centrifugal.
Okay. Centrifugal
Yeah.
force, which wants an object to continue moving in a straight line, even when the road doesn't.
Centripetal force is if you're in the middle of a curve and it keeps one.
And you want to keep going forward. I know in my life I'd like my path to be straighter, and I know I ought to respect these curves and these slopes of these West Virginia roads, but I've lived on them and I've driven on them for a long time. I told Marcy, I said, I'm a ridge runner. And I explained it to her as she's getting car sick in the passenger seat. Going to Joni's, my kids would always be sick. But you know,
I don't think Marcy gets
Every
to say
Sunday.
anything about
Sick
getting
and
car
good.
sick.
I would get the just slow down. What? That's for
My name
sissies.
was on the bucket.
That's right. I can manage these curves quite nicely on my own until I can't. Have you seen this kind of sign? As I'm looking at the scenery and behind this picture, I'm thinking, there's nothing out of place here. There's no obvious difficulties, there's no threats, there's no obstacles, and yet here's the sign. Caution. Be careful, beware. Of what? Am I going to pay attention? But there are those times in our lives when fear pops up out of nowhere and immobilizes it, freezes us, and keeps us from moving forward. It's unexplained anxiety and worry that creeps into our lives and fills our minds with all these what if. All of a sudden there's a sign. I've not been thinking about anything. Now it says caution. And here my mind goes, what if? It reminds us of all of these potential hazards and problems and disasters that might happen. There's nothing on the horizon now, but the sign says that there might be. So instead of paying attention to the sign, I want to blame the sign for making me aware of potential danger, even though there's no good reason for it in the moment. Every now and then here in West Virginia we see this sign. Not often, because of those twisty, curvy roads that we have. But pass with care means exactly that. When you get the chance, get out of your lane and go around what's holding you up. Be careful though. Pass with care. Be careful because there might be oncoming traffic. Just because on that other side of the line, that you're in their lane. The possibility which can lead to timidity or reticence or doubt. Now we've all been stuck behind those slow drivers before. Old people like me out for their Sunday afternoon drive. Or a fully loaded coal or lumber truck, a timber truck, and they're barely crawling up these hills and you're thinking, we're itching to get into the other lane. And we are hoping that we're going to find a sign like this that says, you can pass. We long for that chance to get around that slope hook that's holding us up. But then we wonder, can I do it? Is the coast clear? Will I be safe? Is it worth it? Maybe I should just stay in my own lane and put up with the inconvenience. I'll get there eventually. It's not worth the risk. So, here's my favorite one. Maybe they'll turn off soon. Or we can just blame it on them when we get to our appointment late. And then there's unexpected road signs like this one, like bridge out. The route that you are planning to take no longer exists, or it's out of commission. You can't use it right now. It's inaccessible. Now, of course, there's an immediate change of plan. What does Siri say when this happens? Rerouting. Does she still say that? Rerouting when you didn't get off when you should have. It's taking you, and as you have to change directions, you're going in a different direction, right? Maybe far out of your way, adding extra time, adding extra effort to a journey that you couldn't afford to lose. And this could happen because of a major failure, like the bridge. Maybe it's failed, but also a major failure in our own lives. It could be a deep disappointment because things haven't worked out according to plan. The bridge is out. Or by being overwhelmed by physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual challenges. Whatever the reason, the bridge that you depend on is no longer there. And it cannot be used. Where could be this sign? It's not just the bridge that's out, it's the whole road. The whole road is closed, and the obvious path forward is no longer obvious. There are insurmountable obstacles in the way, things that cannot be removed readily, complications that keep you from moving forward, or it might be the realization that those long-held dreams that you had been waiting on aren't going to happen. That road is closed. The sign we dread most, though, is this one. Dead end. This is the one that says the way forward is hopeless. The road that we're on is going nowhere. That this is the end of the line. It's a dead end. Any further attempt to continue traveling down this road is fruitless. And it is impossible to even think about changing it. As drivers on the road, we encounter many different kinds of signs. Each one has been placed there by the highway department or by the various engineers who are looking out for our safety. The signs are not put there to be annoyances. They're put there to direct us, to guide us along the way. In life, we encounter many different kinds of signs also. Signs that have been placed there by our loving Father, who is just guiding us. He's concerned about our health. He's concerned about our well-being. And try as we might, we can't blame our current situation on the signs. Because they've all been posted in just the right place along the way. It's just that all too often we choose to ignore them. So back to our question. What is stopping me? What's stopping me from paying attention? What's stopping me from following directions? What's stopping me from heeding the warnings? Who or what am I to blame? I can tell you who's not to blame. First of all, God is not to blame. He's the one who put those signs there for you to pay attention to. He's the one who's looking out for your welfare, even when we're not. It's not the enemy. All too often we want to blame it on the devil. We blame things on him that he has nothing to do with. They're our own decisions, our own choices. It's not my wife. She's not the one who made me eat all that stuff. Mankind has been blaming the spouse ever since that garden incident. We don't want to talk about that one either, though. It's not my kids, because they don't live with me anymore. You say, I'm looking for who am I going to blame, you know?
And I didn't make you chocolate nuggets.
You,
I threatened.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
I know. What meaning connect to it?
It can't be my job because I don't have one anymore, not a real one. And with that being the case, it can't be my schedule because I set what my schedule is. And it certainly is not the demands on my time because I don't have much of anything pressing me at this point. I've got the time to do all the things I want to do, all the things I choose to do. So what's left? What is stopping me? Or rather, who is stopping me? We want to blame our shortcomings and our problems off on other people. If that doesn't work, we blame it off on the devil or God or somebody else close to a situation. But seldomly do we want to accept the blame for ourselves. The point of the matter is the reason we don't get things done is because we choose not to make it a priority. We are the ones who are choosing not to do it. We can make all manner of excuses. It's because of this or it's because of that, but who's stopping me? I'm stopping me. I had AI do that. I had AI take that picture and do something different with it. It's because of me and the decisions that I've made. Now, I've got all kinds of reasons, and so do you, in case you're wondering. And it could be because I lack a true desire to do this thing. It's not something I really want to do, so I don't. I have no fire in my belly to get it done. There's no impetus, no drive, no interest perhaps. Or maybe it's because I'm trying to meet the expectations of those around me instead of doing what I want, instead of doing what I want to do, what I know is right. It could be a fear of failure. What if I can't do it? What if I fall on my face trying? What if people see me falling down the steps? Or the sister to that fear is a fear of judgment. When others see that I'm incapable or incompetent. It could be that I'm searching for approval. I have a need for approval, and it can immobilize us because it keeps me from trying. Or I'm yearning for acceptance. It keeps me from stepping out and doing things I'm not confident in. It keeps me from getting into that other lane and passing with care. All too often, though, it's the matter that we're simply lacking the self-discipline necessary to make ourselves pay attention and to do it. We lack the ability to deny ourselves and to allow ourselves to lay aside our pride and our arrogance that tell us that we know better than those who have put up the signs. It could be that our self-worth is suffering, and that affects our willingness to get behind the wheel there. But what it comes down to is self-acceptance. I'm meaning this in where we accept the responsibility. We accept the fact that we've made bad choices. We accept the fact that we have made wrong decisions. And that we, all by ourselves, are responsible for the condition that we're in right now. To which, Father simply and very quietly whispers into our spirits, stop stopping yourself. In the moment, that may seem difficult or even impossible. But Jesus says in Matthew 19:26, he says, with God, all things are possible. It may not be something we can do on our own, but God gives us that strength. In Isaiah 40:29, he gives strength to the weary. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Jesus is our strength. He is our guide. He's the one who sets the path. He's the one who's giving us the direction and setting the signs along the way. Paul writes this in Philippians 4:13. He says, I can do all things. We just need to remind ourselves, we know this. I can do all things. I can stopping myself. Let's remember Paul's other words of encouragement over in Galatians 6:9. He says, let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time, we're going to reap that harvest. If we don't give up. Stay on track. Pay attention to the signs. And when things get hard, remind yourself of what it says over in James chapter 1, verse 12. It says, blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. Now, I fully understand that the road that we're traveling on places some unreasonable speed limits on us, and we want so badly to ignore it. There are times and places where the construction is taking place, and we just want to get through. There are moments when we have to yield our lives and intentions for others. And we know that the road that we're on can be slippery when wet. When adverse conditions come, it's easy to derail, easy to get off the road. And that there are twists and turns along the way. And there are other times when we have to take a risk, and we have to get out of our lane so we can get around that which is holding us back. There are other occasions when the bridge is out or the road is closed. The road that we needed to be on is not available, and we have to adjust our route. And there might also be a dead end that you find yourself on. You're going along, and all of a sudden, it's a dead end, and you've got to adjust to it. But this road that we're traveling in leads in one direction for all of us. There have been various signs along the way, ones that we've paid attention to, and others that we have chosen to ignore. But this sign is the one that we do not dare to ignore, because this is the sign that tells us what our destination is. This road that we call life is meant to lead us all to this place. We don't know how long it will take. We don't know how close we are. But I fully believe that it is closer than we think. All the signs around us are telling us that time is winding down, and that our home is just around the bend or just over the hilltop, as the song goes. But for now, for today, I want to leave you with Paul's words in Philippians 3:14. I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. The road ahead of us may be difficult. It may present us with challenges unlike any that we have ever faced before. But we are not done. We have not reached our destination. We've got work to do. We've got things to accomplish. Instructions to follow. Signs to pay attention to. I'll leave you with one question. What's stopping you? Father, I thank you for this word. I didn't want to have to spend 3 weeks on it, but again, you and I wrestled with this one. And so, Father, I do pray that you will, when we're driving down the road and we see these signs, that this word will come back and you will remind us. What is stopping me from doing what I know I need to be doing? What is stopping me from choosing the best from the good? What's stopping me from being obedient? What's stopping me from being kind? What's stopping me from doing what I know? Father, I pray that you will, again, help us to take the responsibility to understand these are choices that we make. I pray, Father, that we will make good decisions. Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here again today. I thank you, Father, for your word and for your work. Father, I continue to pray, fill this house with your glory. Fill this place with your glory. Keep us now for your kingdom. And all